So we are recording in progress. If y'all have peppermint essential oil, grab it. If you don't, you can still do this without it, but of course, it always helps. I am going to be working out of this book right here, one of my favorite books, Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils. And I sent an email out to everyone that had registered with, I'm going to share my screen, with this little, you see emotional health worksheet?
Yep.
Yep, I see some have it printed off. Um, if you don't have that, you can just grab some paper. I am gonna have you write a few things down. You can always turn your paper over that you have this, just because it's a reminder of some things that we're gonna work on. But that is helpful just to kind of fill in the blanks. After we're done, I do have these blanks already filled in for you. And so if you want it already filled in, because we're going to kind of discuss 4 different emotions. How far we get to it today, I don't know, but there are 4 emotions in the book that are connected with peppermint. So, um, I am going to start with just saying happy St. Patrick's today.
Yep. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Right? It's a time to celebrate. Like, hey, who needs an excuse to celebrate, right? A little party.
Right.
So when we talk about St. Patrick's Day, y'all, we often talk about luck or finding 4-leaf clovers. Sounds like Tony found her 4-leaf clover. It's her love language, she was saying, because she met her husband at 4-H.
Oh, that
You
looks
know,
like a new house.
we tend to wear green. Um, we celebrate good fortune. But true success isn't about luck, it's about perseverance. I kind of have this joke in my family because Perseverance should be my middle name, but I also say I'm kind of like a bulldog with a bone in her mouth. Like, I do not let go of things. If you were on the other side, that's not necessarily good, but if you are looking for an answer, like, I don't give up, okay? Um, Growth. And here's the other thing, trusting the process. So often we want the answer right now. So often we want the result right now. And sometimes we just have to trust the process, even when things don't go as planned. So this morning I'm trying to, get onto Zoom, and everything I had already pulled up was like going down. And even after I got on here, it said something is trying to quit unexpectedly. Like, things don't always go as planned, right? And I could have just said, oh, this isn't worth it, right? And just left y'all hanging. Y'all would just be sitting here wondering where I'm at, right? But that's not what I did, because like I said, I'm kind of that bulldog that is going to just keep going until till it made it happen, and here we are. So I want to share with y'all that many of the world's most inspiring people faced what looked like failure before they achieved greatness. Okay. Why are we going to talk about failure? Because we're talking about failure today. Okay. The difference is they didn't let setbacks define them. Instead, they embraced each challenge as part of their journey. Does anybody ever have any challenges? Does anybody have any challenges in their life right now? Okay. I don't know that we're ever challenge free, right? There's always a challenge. If we don't see it right in front of our face, it's probably because we have our eyes closed really tight because we don't want to see it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What I call this is unfoldment. Okay. When we can embrace the challenge, we're going to be able to unfold, and we're going to talk more about unfoldment in a minute. So today's emotional release practice, we're going to focus on failure to unfoldment. So you're going to see that right here. I'll try and make it bigger. And we're going to go over this first. There's 3 other ones we're going to go over, but this is the first one. All right. So let's just start with that emotion failure. We're just going to get right into it, y'all, right? Like, failure can leave us feeling stuck. Failure can leave us feeling unworthy. Failure can make us feel afraid to move forward. Like, if I take another step, I'm just going to fail again. And we often carry self-judgment. We carry disappointment. And it's really difficult when we're holding on to this emotion to embrace new opportunities. All right. So, who has felt the emotion of failure before? You can raise your hand. You can let me know in the chat.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
I,
Okay.
Shauna, real quick,
Yes.
I'm not sure why I don't know if I'm upside down because I guess you can't see me. So I'm not sure what I might have hit.
Looks like you have a piece of paper on there. There you go.
I'm green and I brought my green drink. It's like took me a minute, but it doesn't look very green.
All right.
Okay.
Glad you're here, Mom.
And yes, yeah.
So we've all felt failure before, right?
Mhm.
I want you to know that you are not alone. Okay? Raise your hand if you felt failure. Look around. Do you see anybody raising their hand? Okay? You're not alone. So I'm going to share some other people in the world that may have raised their hand. Did you know if Thomas Edison let what looked like daily failures define him, we wouldn't have the electric light bulb? He famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." How many of y'all had something that you've done over and over and over again, and you're like, I still haven't figured out the right way yet?
Mhm.
Okay. You might be on 9,999. All right. And one more time might be 10,000 to get that light bulb. What if he quit? What if he said, this isn't worth it? Right? Now, the truth of the matter is, there could have been somebody else out there that tried a few more times. Or even worse, they might have taken his 9,999 times and looked at all the things he did and said, well, I'm not going to do those because those don't work. I'm going to try this. And it be that time. Okay. So I want you to take a moment. I want you to think about, and I'm going to say one perceived failure, because sometimes what we perceive as a failure may not even be a failure. But we've all felt like a failure, right? Like we failed at something. And so I want you to write down on your paper, like I said, if you printed out this sheet, you can just turn it over. And I want you to write it down. Whatever it is, and you might say, hey, I could make a whole list. We're not looking for 10. We're not looking for 3. We're looking for one thing. And whatever you wrote down, I want you to ask yourself, did I fail, or did I just find ways that didn't work? And then whatever it is, I want you to ask yourself this question. Are you still working towards whatever it was you felt like you failed, or have you quit? Because there's a difference between a person that's a failure and a person that's a quitter. So how about Walt Disney? He was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. And he faced multiple business failures. If he had quit, we wouldn't have Disney parks, we wouldn't have Disney movies, and we wouldn't have characters that have inspired generations. When you think of Walt Disney, do you think, that's a guy that had no imagination? Yet that's what somebody spoke over him. Has somebody spoke something over you and you felt like a failure because of who they saw, even though if that might not have been you? Or maybe you just hadn't got there yet and you needed to hear that you didn't have an imagination so that your imagination could grow. How about Abraham Lincoln? He lost multiple elections before becoming the 16th president of the United States. If he had quit, history would have been very different. Right? How about Michael Jordan? He was cut from his high school basketball team, but instead of quitting, he used it as motivation to become one of the greatest athletes of all time. And I just got teary-eyed thinking about it. Right? And then how about the Apostle Peter? He denied Jesus 3 times. Not once, y'all. Not twice. 3 times that we know of. Could he have done it more? That's just what's written in the Bible, right? But instead of letting that failure define him, he became a key leader in spreading the gospel. And then today we're on St. Patrick's Day. How about St. Patrick? We often associate him with luck, shamrocks, and celebration. But his real story is one of perseverance, faith, and overcoming what looked like failure. Because Patrick was kidnapped and enslaved in Ireland for 6 years. He wasn't an Irish man. Okay? He was from a whole nother location in Britain. How do you think you would feel if you were kidnapped and enslaved? Would you feel like, hey, this is where I'm supposed to be? Or would it might feel like a little bit of a setback? But instead of letting that define him, he used the experience to grow. After escaping, so he didn't stay there, right? He escaped, he returned home, and he could have stayed in comfort because he was from a pretty wealthy family. But he felt called to return to Ireland. He went back to the place of suffering to bring hope and transformation to the people there. What seemed like failure became the foundation for his true purpose. So, like St. Patrick, we can choose to see challenges. Who has challenges? We can see these challenges as stepping stones, or we can see them as roadblocks. You can either take a step, or you can stop and stay there. What if the very thing that feels like failure is actually guiding you towards something greater? So, I want to take a moment and I want you to posture yourself like you would when you feel like you failed. For me, it's kind of like this. I just want to get into that collapse. Oh, right. My shoulders round, my head moves forward. So I want y'all to get in that posture. I want you to feel what it might feel like to fail. I call this the blue zone. Okay. We often go into this posture when we're holding on to this emotion of failure, even if we're not thinking about it. I'm going to bring up real quick right here. This is what I call the blue zone freeze. We just collapse, right? And sometimes we're just holding on to this emotion unconsciously. But we're going to move to the other side. So I'm going to bring up this emotional health worksheet. The other side of failure is unfoldment. Who's ready to move out of failure? Okay. Instead of seeing failure as an endpoint, we can view it as a step in our unfolding journey. So I want you to think for just a moment how our flowers bloom in its own time, right? Our growth happens through each challenge we face. So I want you to imagine you are a flower, all tight inside, kind of like a ball. I'm kind of getting to a ball here. Inside a seed, right, that has a shell around it, and you're in the cold ground, and the sun comes up, and you begin to push out of that shell. So I want you to go from the position you are in. I want you to push out of that shell, whatever that might look like for you. Like you're pushing through the ground. You're looking for that bright sun. Okay. Your flower is blossoming. You just experienced the feeling of unfoldment. Could you feel a difference? Would you rather be here in failure, collapse, or do you want to be here? An unfoldment, the flower reaching for the sun. I want you to think about, if you need to reenact it, when you were that seed all balled up, what was the first thing that you did? What was your first action of unfoldment?
Uncurl.
Uncurl. Okay. You could have stopped right there, right? This to this, that's better, right?
I think about a heart opener. You open your heart.
Yes. Yes. Definitely a heart opener. I want you to go back to your piece of paper that you wrote down your one failure. Okay. I want you to think of what would be one action of unfoldment. Not the whole result, maybe, that you feel like you failed at, right? Just one action, just like Donna said, uncurled, right? That's one action. What is one action you could take? Go back to this picture for just a minute. When we're in this blue zone freeze, in this collapse, I'm going to bring us over to recovery, okay? I want you to think of this red zone right here. This is kind of like the sun coming out, okay? You are a seed, cold, closed up, and that sun is out there and you've got to push through, and that is not easy. Can you imagine being a flower, trying to, one, get out of the seed, and then all you find is dirt? And you're like, I just want to get to the sun. And then you're having to push slowly through the ground. Here in Oklahoma, we have like red, hard dirt. Like it's having to push even harder to see the sun. That's this red zone right here. Okay. We want to keep moving. Who wants to keep moving? Who wants to get out of the ground? Okay. The affirmation that we can say is, I accept growth. Okay. When we accept growth, we shift from self-criticism, I'm a failure, to self-compassion. Wow, that was hard, right? Every experience, whether successful or failure, is part of the process leading us to who we are meant to be. So I want you to just stop for a moment and I want you to say with me, I accept growth.
I accept growth.
I accept growth.
I accept growth.
Yep.
How about we say it one more time? Sometimes I just need it 3 times, right?
Yeah.
I accept
growth.
growth. How does that feel?
Good.
I want you to imagine being that seed, that flower with inside that shell, and you're like, I accept growth. I accept growth. I accept growth, right? When we're doing this, y'all, we're moving, right? We were underground. We're moving towards the sun. It is hard work. It is not easy. Okay. We're going to move to some oil. Who's got their peppermint oil? All right. Take a drop, put it in your hand. 2 fell out for me. Peppermint brings clarity. It brings refreshment. It helps us break free from limiting thoughts, and it helps us breathe in a new perspective. Talking about a seed going towards the sun, does that bring new perspective to y'all on something hard? Right? It's also energizing the spirit. It's encouraging us to step forward with confidence. If you are ever feeling stuck and you're looking for an oil, peppermint's a good one. All right. So taking that drop, I want you to go back to that feeling of failure. So if you need to go back to that collapsed posture, I want you to. And then I want you to breathe in the oil. And as you breathe in, I want you to say the words, I accept growth.
I accept growth.
I accept growth.
Just keep saying it until you feel, right? That I feel it all the way. When I smell peppermint, I smell it to the top of my head, to the bottom of my toes. How's everyone feeling?
A rush of energy.
Rush of energy.
Good.
Yeah.
Cool and tingly.
Cool and tingly.
Cheerful.
Look, if you look here at the worksheet, the next thing I have on here is thymus. This is our alarm point. This is where we tend to hold failure. You ever feel like you just feel it in your chest? That's why we do this, right? Okay. This is our thymus right here. So I just want you to rub that oil on your thymus. Now, Tammy and I did not talk about this earlier when she said she felt like this was a heart opener, but the thymus is called the heart protector, right? So what do we tend to do? We tend to want to protect our heart when we're feeling that failure, right? Problem is it's connected to our immune system and our sense of resilience. So we need to open that up. So one way we can do that is we can just go here to our thymus and we can stop tapping when we're applying that peppermint. And it can help strengthen inner courage and release fear. So if you're ever feeling that fear of failure, like I just can't do this again, I'm just going to fail again, this is too hard, we can come here and we can tap. So let's just take some time. I start doing it, it just makes me want to breathe deeper. Let out a sigh. Sometimes it can even help to say something like, even though I feel like I'm a failure right now, I accept that this is me growing. I'm unfolding into the woman God has created me to be. This isn't where God wants me, y'all. I'm not a turtle. I might be green today, but I'm not a turtle. With my head in the shell. I can go slow. I can be that turtle with the head out of the shell, but not in the shell. Okay. So I have this Bible verse here. Forget the former things. How about those failures that we wrote down? We might just write run, one, but we might have 10 coming through our head, right? Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. I want you to imagine a flower for just a minute living within a seed. Y'all, they can live in a seed for years, even decades, waiting to become a flower. And just think about it. It has pushed through the shell of its seed. It's pushed through the ground. It's seeing the sun. It's coming up. It's a flower now. And let's just say it says, oh, it was so cold and dark inside of that shell. Oh, it was so hard. I was in that shell for 10,000 years. It's a flower. It's blooming. It has the sun. The rain is coming down. Doesn't it seem a little silly if we think of it that way? Like, why would a flower spend all of its beautiful time thinking about where it was? Anybody ever spend all their time thinking about their dark, cold moments? We all have this moment. It's called a present moment. It's truly a gift, right? but we often get stuck in a shell of the past perceived failures. Because we don't talk about Thomas Edison's 10,000 trials of making the light bulb. He's known for the light bulb. We don't talk about flowers all the time they spent as seeds when we're looking at that beautiful flower. I don't know if y'all can see my beautiful flowers right there, right? I'm not going, oh, look, every one of those were a seed one time. I don't know how many years, but man, they spent a lot of time in the cold. No, I talk about the purple flowers and the green flowers and the pink flowers and how they're big and small and all these different sizes and they're all beautiful, right? Failure often feels like a dead end, but in reality, it's a stepping stone towards something greater. Just like a seed must break open to grow, what seems like failure is often the necessary process of unfoldment. When we release the fear of failure and embrace growth, we allow God to work in our lives in new and unexpected ways. So I want you to trust that even in moments of struggle, God is creating something new within you. Release what no longer serves you. Inhale the renewing aroma of peppermint and step forward with faith that you can go from here to here. You can open up your heart. You can breathe in a fresh day. Spring is just around the corner. Literally, spring is just around the corner, right? So I want you to think about this as spring is coming and you start seeing flowers popping up. Don't get stuck in past failures. God is unfolding something new in your life, just like that seed unfolded into the beautiful flower that you're going to get to see. All right. Now we could just stop there, right? We could just stop there. And the truth of the matter, as we go over these other emotions, they're all related to this one, right? Some people don't necessarily resonate with failure as they may resonate with some of these other words we talk about, but they're all connected, okay? So even if you just wanted to spend time on this one alone, you're going to kind of hit these other ones too. But we might be holding it a little bit differently because everyone's a little bit different. So I am going to go over them during our next 30 minutes. But I just want you to know that you can just do that one, right? Like that one right there. And if you will really just give yourself the opportunity to whatever it is that you feel like you failed in the past, and even get into that posture of where it's at so that you can really let it out. Okay? Because here's the thing. If we just keep stuffing these failures in, they cause dis-ease, right? And so we need to let them go. We need to move on. We need to move forward. So, making sure somebody messaging about the call, but they can get the replay. All right. So this next one is fear of dependence. So a lot of times the fear of dependence keeps us stuck. It whispers that if we lean on others, we're weak. I'm kind of guilty on this one. But real freedom comes when we release the fear and trust that we are supported. Okay, so the other side is freedom. It's the ability to move forward, to embrace growth, and know that dependence, and I'm going to say dependence on God, on our community, is not weakness, but is actually strength. Okay, true self-sufficiency comes from knowing we are never alone. This would be going back to that seed, thinking that it could do it all alone. If a seed was just sitting on my counter here, nothing's going to happen. What does it need? It needs to be planted. right? Needs to be in soil or water, something to nourish it. Needs the sun, light to help it grow. But here's the thing I want you to know, that seed is self-sufficient and that it has everything inside of it for it to grow, but it can't do it alone. So it's both self-sufficient, but it also needs support. Okay? Our affirmation is, I am self-sufficient. Yeah. Not because we do everything alone, but because we are empowered, resourced, and connected. We have all those resources. I spent a lot of time last year talking about our resources that we have, just like that seed has resources. So I don't want you to put more peppermint on your hand. You should have enough because I want you to put it right here between your eyes. And if your hand is too strong, it might burn and you might not be able to see very well. Okay. That is your thalamus. And the thalamus plays a role in the processing and regulation of emotions. It works really closely with our limbic system. All right. A lot of times it's that limbic system that gets us stuck. And this fear of dependence, fear of not being able to be enough or do enough. I want you to listen to this verse. Not that we are sufficient in ourselves to claim anything as coming from us, but our sufficiency is from God. 2 Corinthians 3:5. It reminds us that true sufficiency isn't about doing everything alone, but about trusting that we are fully equipped, supported, and strengthened both by God and the right people around us. That's why I love coming together with you girls on Monday mornings. Okay. So let's say those words. I am self-sufficient.
I am self.
I am self-sufficient.
I want you to think about being that seed again. And you're like, I can just do this all on my own. I don't need no dirt. I don't need no water. I don't need no sun. I can just do this all on my own. Is that seed ever going to get to the side of freedom, being that flower that's just blossoming out? But within that seed, it has everything it needs to blossom. Right? So, I am self-sufficient. And I do have all the resources to grow and to be free. To be the flower, the freedom flower. I'm reading this book right now. Tony just was saying she had read it too. So Tony, I'm thinking about the 60s, right? The flower power, the freedom, right? Like, I'm not saying we go back to the 60s, y'all. I'm just saying, we use those terms, freedom power or flower power and freedom together. Which I did not even think about when I was thinking about the seed, because I used to talk about caterpillars and butterflies, but I decided spring is here and we're going to talk seeds and flowers today. All right. So going back to the seed, it has everything to become a flower, but remember, it must be planted. Maybe some of your failures were you were planting yourself someplace you didn't need to be planted. Right? Or maybe you're planted in the right place, but you weren't letting anybody water you. No, I don't need any help. I can do this all by myself. Right? Or you were like, I'm just going to stay in the darkness here and not allow ourselves to receive the sunlight to grow. I'm going to do this all by myself. I'm going to stick myself in this dark, closed off space, and I'm going to show them I can become a flower all by myself without the sun. I can do it. And then we feel like we fail and we go back here. Right? So whether you choose to release failure or to release the fear of dependence, it's kind of the same, y'all, right? A lot of these are really related. We just might be holding it someplace different. The next one is restriction. Anybody ever feel restricted, like they're stuck?
Yes.
Could be physically, it could be emotionally, it could be mentally, it could be spiritually. To me, it often feels like I have on a straitjacket, right? It's just being the sensation of being bound up, limited, unable to move freely. My hips have been feeling that way. And I refuse to say it's because I'm getting older, right? My body's holding something there that I need to release. I didn't even know that my hips were tight until I was trying to get into a position on the floor. And I was like, what? I should be able to get in this position. I could a couple weeks ago. What's the deal, right? The other side is mobility. What is mobility? It's the ability to move. It's the ability to adapt. It's the ability to grow. It's about breaking free from the restrictions that hold us back. That could be an old thought pattern, like failure, right? It could be a limiting belief. I'm not good enough. I can't. It could be a fear of stepping into something new, right? I'm about to go through a new season. My baby's going to graduate in a couple months, and those couple months are coming by really quick, right? Fear of change often arises when we start moving towards something different. Our bodies like things to stay the same. We fear the unknown. Again, that possibility of failure. What if I try this? It doesn't work and I fail. Try again, right? Or simply just stepping out of our comfort zone. How many of us have got stuck in a comfort zone? Like it's just easier to just be here, do this, even though this isn't what I want to be or do. But it's easy. I'm not having to push no dirt away. I'm not getting sprinkled with water. The sun's not burning me, right? Growth only happens through movement. You can't say, I want to grow. What was our first affirmation here? I accept growth, right? We can't grow if we're not moving. Growth only happens through movement. So this affirmation is I'm open to new experiences. If you want to grab some more peppermint, because by golly, I mean, who can have too much peppermint, right? We just don't want to put it between our eyes when it's a lot on our hands. But if you want to take some more, breathe it in and say, I'm open to new experiences.
I am open to new experiences.
I am open to new experiences.
Let's go back to what you wrote on the back of your paper, a failure. And I said, I want you to think of like one little action of unfoldment. Is that something new or is that something you've done before? If it's new, I want you to circle it. If it's not new, it's something you have done before. Underneath it, I want you to put something new, something you haven't done before. Or if you did it, you only did a little, it was like you kind of tried it out. I don't know what I think about this, right? I am open to new experiences. And you don't have to say I'm going to do it for 30 days or you can just say I'm open to new experience. I'm willing to try it once just to see what happens. We're going to put that oil it's right where my glasses are on the back of my head. So if you're trying to find that location, I'm going to take my glasses off for a second. But this is our medulla. And I just want you to mine a lot of times will be tender there. And I actually have an indent on my left side. And my right side is actually kind of protruded a little bit right there. This is our medulla alarm point. It's part of our brain stem. This is our autonomic nervous system, right? This is the one that tells us to breathe. When we feel restricted, we're often in this freeze state. Remember that blue zone? And to move out, we have to go into this sympathetic stress response. That's that red zone.
Where's
So
that
to move
spot
from
again,
here,
Shauna?
Do what?
Excuse me, where's that spot again on the back of your?
So it's just kind of like right behind your ear.
Okay.
So for me, it's like right where my glasses hit, that's that spot. And you don't have to be exact, but if you just kind of go right behind your ear and just kind of start rubbing, you might find an indentation or kind of a tender point. That's kind of that medulla point.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Debbie. And it's a great place to, when you're feeling stressed, right, to rub. I've actually even seen I haven't seen this live, but I have seen this in videos of people working on this area and then having someone lift up their arm and seeing that the restriction has gone from different points in their body that was restricted, you know. So if I had tested my hips before and then I started rubbing here, I might be able to do a little bit more, right? Because we can be holding on to this rigidity through these emotions in this location here. So right here, when we're going from recovery, if we are rigid, we are stuck. Okay, blue zone trauma. We have to move out of it. It can be very uncomfortable. This might be even uncomfortable, just putting this on, or the thought of stretching an area that's tight, right, can feel a little overwhelming. Mobility is this green zone. We want to move through this area. Okay. And again, it can often feel fearful, like this is change, right? Especially if it's something new and we've never done it before. The first thing that comes to my mind, John, I know this sounds kind of weird, but I would have never had a plan to have a new experience of, I'm going to say it that way, swimming with sharks. Okay. Was never on my bucket list. But y'all, it's a new experience I will never forget. I only had to experience it once. It was great. It was in the Galapagos Islands, and we were doing this little snorkeling time. And the guy said, if y'all want to see, I want to say, I don't remember what kind of sharks they were. They were big. I want to say tiger sharks, but I don't know if that's right, so I don't want to say it. But anyway, they were in a circle and they were going, and they were big. They were really big, really big. And I had so much peace and it was so beautiful to watch. And I was up on the top and I felt safe because they weren't like going swimming around me or anything. But it was a new experience. I get to mark it off my bucket list and I never wrote it on until after I did it, right? I don't have to go do it again,
Yay.
but I grew.
Yay.
I grew. Mom's over there going, but I'm so afraid, right? But I grew. Which then reminds me, because my mom's here, but I got to be a mom too, right? And me and my kids and my husband were we were traveling and my kids were jumping off of a bridge. So my mom's gonna get scared again, but my kids were jumping off of a bridge into this really cold water. We had spent probably a good 30 minutes watching other people do this. Now, y'all, I didn't need this new experience. I was like, that water is darn cold, and I'll just watch over here from the side of the bridge, right? But there was all these women that had been hiking this area too, and they're standing there. So by now they know our kids' names are Emily and Bryce, and they're like, "Go Emily, go Emily, go, and go Bryce, go," and stuff. And I'm just laughing because we're all so excited for them to have this new experience of jumping off of this bridge into this really cold water, and they're going to get to swim down this thing onto this rock, right? And I was just so excited for them because I've had those new experiences, right? I've done some things that my mom kind of scares her, okay? Jumping out of airplanes, swimming with sharks, right? I only had to do it once. But I'm watching my kids do this. But the funny thing is this lady looked and she is so excited. She's like, I am so excited. How are you handling this? And I wasn't in the mom mode at that moment. I wasn't even thinking about like their safety. All I could think about is the fun things I've done in the past that were kind of scary, but these new experiences. And when she said that, it was kind of like that mom came into me and she was like, I'm so excited for them, but I don't think I would have let my kids do that. And I thought, I don't want to prevent my kids from those experiences that I've taken. Even though as soon as she put that in my head, that thought came through and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if they die, right? which my husband and I did jump off of the waterfall in Hawaii that if anybody's watched Indiana Jones, the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark, they grab hands and they jump off together. We were going to enact that, y'all. We were going to enact it. We're holding hands, we're about to jump, and I let go of his hand and he jumped. And I'll tell you why. Not because I was too scared to jump off. I was like, what if we both die? Our kids will be without parents. Soon as I saw he was safe, whew, I jumped in. He was all mad. He's like, why'd you let go? And I was like, I wanted to make sure at least one of us was alive, right? We both got to experience it. We just didn't experience it holding hands. We did run together and then whew, I'll let go, right? And I share that because sometimes we do need to let go to be safe. And sometimes we need to hold on and we just need to jump. So growth only happens through movement, and movement is not always easy, right? And it comes through new experiences. So here is the verse. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? When it feels too hard, when it feels too scary, do we need to make good choices? Yes. I didn't do anything that other people hadn't done in front of me. I wasn't letting my kids do something that we didn't know what the water was like. Like I said, we watched a lot of people do it for about 30 minutes. Everybody lived. Nobody died, right? We weren't sending them out. Was it hard for them to jump? By golly, they'd never done it before. It was a high bridge, right? They're good swimmers. They were going to have to, and it was cold. And they weren't even really dressed for it. But by golly, that's a memory that they won't forget, and they grew in that. It could have changed their lives, right? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I want you to go back and I want you to think about that failure and that one little step. I want you to remember that we're not supposed to do these things alone. You have everything within you to be able to do it, but you don't have to do it alone. Which brings us to the last one. Rigidity. Rigidity is a state of inflexibility. Remember I said these are all really a lot alike, right? Both physically and emotionally. It can manifest as a mental or physical hold on a particular way of being. Some people might be known as being rigid. They're resistant to change. An inability to see things from different perspectives. So this morning, I was putting curlers in my hair because, yes, I'm still stuck in the 80s and I put curlers in my hair. I don't use a curling iron. And the little clip flew and it landed on my floor. And I'm like, where is it? I can't see it. And of course, it's the last one, right? Can't put another one in there. And I moved 3 different times before I saw it. It was right there all the time, but I had to move to a different perspective to see it. When we experience rigidity, we may feel stuck. We may feel tense or restricted, and this can block our natural flow of energy. That lady that was standing next to me on that bridge to watch the kids, as a bystander of somebody else's kid, she was able to yell, go, 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 Emily, go, Bryce. She didn't know them. But the thought of being the mother standing there watching her children do it, that was a whole new perspective, right? Me, as I was standing there as the girl who swam with sharks and the girl that jumped out of an airplane and jumped off of a waterfall, that girl was go, go, go. But as soon as she reminded me who I was, oh my gosh, the mother, you're letting your kids do this? Whole new set of feelings was going through my body, right? Rigidity can also be a sign of fear of the unknown. We hold tightly to the familiar because it feels safe, even if it's no longer serving us. Emotionally, it can stem from unresolved past trauma, feelings of insecurity, or an unwillingness to release control. When do we feel the most free? It's not when we're in control, y'all. The other side is amusement. Who likes amusement parks? Amusement represents the freedom of lightness, playfulness, and a sense of cosmic flow. It's a reminder that life doesn't have to be so serious all the time. Really? It doesn't? It doesn't have to be serious all the time? Sometimes it feels really serious, right? We can actually shift into a state of amusement. We can allow ourselves to relax. We can allow ourselves to laugh. We can allow ourselves to see the world through a lighter, more joyful lens. So I'm going to bring back my little picture here. All right. On the stress continuum, I've got this, thinking mind, racing mind. I change it over here to laughter. When we're going through recovery, we can still be in that green zone. It can feel a little stressful. We might be laughing at, somebody doing something stupid, right? We can be moving away from something because we're scared, or we can choose to move towards something even though it's scary. Okay. The fear of the unknown, it's just the fear of something we don't know is out there. When we can take a step towards it, oh my gosh, and embrace it, that's when freedom happens. Okay. We can be crying, we can be, this is hard, or we can be going, as Tammy put it, opening up our heart, doing a little stretch. Oh, I can move. I can allow myself some space. So our affirmation for this one, it's a cosmic game. When I heard that, y'all, I was like, I don't even know, because I'm like the serious one. I want to try and make something serious out of it, right?
Mhm.
It serves as a reminder that life is meant to be enjoyed. It encourages us to take a step back from the seriousness of our experiences. Man, if we could just laugh about our failures instead of taking them seriously, and realize that every challenge or difficulty can be seen as part of a larger, playful dance of existence. It's just part of life. We can choose life as a battle, or we can choose life as a game. One that is unfolding in ways we cannot always predict, but can always enjoy. When we embrace this affirmation, it's a cosmic game. We can start living life, right? We don't have to be stuck. We don't have to hold tightly to expectations or outcomes or results. Like, this is what has to happen. We can just enjoy the moment. So, who wants some more peppermint? Grab your peppermint. The location for this is what's called your ASIS, anterior superior iliac spine, otherwise known as your pelvis, your hips, where you put your, when your pockets are kind of stuck in those little bones in the front, that's where we're going to put it. And this is where we hold heavy metals. This is what's alarm points called heavy metals. If it's kind of puffy there, it could be that you're holding on to rigidity. Remember I was talking about my hips earlier?
Right.
So what's the connection to heavy metals? Often when we're holding on to things, our body hangs onto heavy metals too, okay? Toxicity and rigidity go together. So this can accumulate. It can affect our nervous system, which we were talking about earlier, our brain that we were talking about earlier. It can affect our organs. It can create a state of stagnation and blockage. We want to remove that, all right? So I have a verse here, rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. This is my in the shower song. Does anybody have shower songs? I rejoice in the Lord always, again I say rejoice. This is how I wash myself in the morning. I love this
it.
song.
Love it.
And that's joyful, right? That's embracing amusement, because if somebody was to watch me, that would probably be, sad, but amusing. When we can shift from rigidity to being more playful and flexible living, we're going to have freedom that we talked about earlier, right? So, with me, who wants to say it's a cosmic game?
It's a cosmic game.
It's a
cosmic-
cosmic game.
It's a cosmic gain.
It's a cosmic game.
It's
It's
It's a cosmic game.
How many of you, if you lost at playing a game, would never play that game again? Or would you be like, I want to play it again because I want to see if I can win?
Yep,
That's me.
that's
We go back to this failure. What if you just lost one of the games? And if it's a cosmic game and we play it again, we might get the light bulb moment. Literally. Right?
Yep.
Isn't that amazing what we can do with this little bottle of peppermint essential oil?
Amazing.
We are not meant to hold on to all of these emotions, y'all. We do not need to hold on to failure. We can unfold. Be the flower, right? We don't have to hold on to the fear of dependence. We can have freedom. We don't have to hold on to restriction. We can move towards mobility. We don't have to hold on to rigidity. We can be very amusing, right? And we can enjoy life, what I like to call the exceptional life, right? And it doesn't mean that the world is perfect. It doesn't mean everything. It doesn't mean that there's not challenges. It means that we take that step. It might just mean getting out your peppermint oil, pulling up one of these sheets that I had for you. I'll send that to everyone that registered for this morning's class. You'll get an email and I'll have links to that if you want it already all written out. All right.
that word.
Any questions?
No questions, but I wrote it in there. This was so needful for me today. We have things coming up, and one, I've got some friends in Denmark that have visited here several times, and they have just been really wanting me to go visit them. And I have never been to Denmark before, and we booked tickets for me to go yesterday. And so part of me, I feel like, oh, when I look at all the things that's going on around in the world, and it's kind of scary, and I'm like, kind of have been not really wanting to go. But on the other hand, I've wanted to go there for years. And so on the one hand, I'm excited. But so this has just been perfect.
Confirmation.
Yeah. It's like, thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you, Shauna.
Very timely. Thank you. I need this every day. I can do it on my own. I just don't do it.
Right.
And that's why I try and do this, Tammy, once a month, because yeah, we just need these reminders, right? And
Yeah.
taking that sheet, even if we only do it for a couple of days, it's better than not doing it for all. But yes, there's so many things that we hold on to, y'all, that we just need to let go of. We just need to let go of it. So I hope this spring you'll be thinking as you see those flowers blooming. They didn't have it easy, y'all. I want you just to go get a bean, go get a seed, and think about what it is living inside of that. Its potential. And then I want you to think about your potential. It is living inside of you. Okay. And all the things that you've already blossomed. I mean, you all have blossomed many flowers, right? There's many more to be blossomed. This is a new spring just around the corner.
Yeah.
If you're still feeling like you're a seed in some areas that's in this cold, dark, wintry place, that's okay. Right? Just know it's going to be hard to move out of it, but man, that work is worth it to the other side. To be able to feel the sun on your petals.
I saw a thing on the internet on growing seeds, and it showed like big seeds, like pumpkin seeds and other seeds. And the guy actually took, because the seeds are, pretty good. See my hand. they're pretty good size. And he said if you snip the very end of it off, it opens it up and it allows the moisture to get to it. And he said it can go from like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks for it to grow to like 3 to 5 days because the moisture can get into it. And so when you said that, I was thinking the peppermint does the same thing. It helps open this up faster and to release that. And I use peppermint almost every day in the morning in my water and my coffee, my tea, whatever I'm drinking in the morning. And it always opens me up. So I'm going to try to do more of these things that we've talked about and say something along with it. I enjoy it and it opens like breathing up, but sinuses, but which I didn't do this morning. But yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah. So as I was moving and stuff, I found an old stack of cards that I have. But what I love to do is use like index cards. I also have a box over here. I kind of collect papers, but anyway, between journals and cards and everything else. But if you're working on something and you have these sheets that you can print off and you can just cut, even a part of it so it's smaller that you can keep it somewhere. I like to keep it in my Bible or in my journal, whatever I'm working on at the time, because I'm always doing something different, right? New experiences. I'm all about new experiences. Y'all know me. Monday, it's a new week. I love a new week. Tomorrow, it'll be a new day. It's a new day. April 1st will be a new month. I love anything new, right? New experiences, y'all, makes changes in our brain that is positive. So today, if you've never wrote on an index card before, an oil and an affirmation and a scripture, that would be a new experience that you could do, right? If you've done it before, do something different, right? Like just figure out some way that you can do it. I like to make little cards, like I said, or I'll have it on a piece of paper in my book. And then I'll just have my oil by whatever that area is that you want to spend. So sometimes I have oils next to my toothbrush, right? Because I brush my teeth in the morning, so I grab my oil and do it there. Other times I have an oil and a scripture on a piece of paper stuck into my Bible so that I'm opening it up and remember. Y'all, I don't remember things either. I'm not gonna be like first thing in the morning when I need to pee and brush my teeth. Oh, let's see. I was telling mom the other day, I have a cool book. You know me, y'all. I have books. Anyway, cool book. It's called Breath as Prayer. You can even see I have a card in here. But the other day I was working. I was showing mom on my little Muse thing. I was doing the prayer and it was, the Lord is my shepherd. When we breathe in, and as you exhale, you just say, I have all that I need. Okay. Well, I was doing my little meditation time and I was having a hard time really like connecting and getting my mind. And I thought, I just need to do that breath as prayer. And I could not think of it. And then I'm telling mom about it. And all of a sudden I said, the Lord is my shepherd. I have all that I need. But at the moment I couldn't think about it. So I took my book in the next time, right? I'm like, because sometimes your mind just goes blank and I need a reminder. And so whether it's a card or something else, because what do? Then we get stressed that we can't even remember what it was that we thought we could remember. It was 5 minutes ago. I read it. Now I don't even remember it, right? So, and I have a good memory, y'all, and I have to write things down. And that's part of the reason why I have a good memory, because I write things down and then I read it and I read it again, right? So do what works for you, but if you can do something new, right? That's why if you find yourself stopping to do it, like, oh, I did that for a couple of weeks. Why did I stop? Change it up. Make it exciting. It's because you got bored. Your body's like, well, I've already done that. I need a new experience. Put it on a different color paper or put it in a different kind of book or grab something different, right? Whatever makes you happy. All right. Any other questions before we go?
Looks like you didn't get to pinch anybody this morning.
I know, everybody listened, didn't they? Or they didn't open up they didn't show us. Debbie, do you have on green? Um, I don't know that I have set up April yet, for our emotional release. I'm looking to see. Because again, y'all, if I don't write it down, I don't necessarily remember, right? I don't think I have April's, but in the middle of the month of April, we'll do another emotional release session. So if anybody has any specific oils that they would like for us to do, feel free to let me know. I might have it written down what I planned. I don't remember off the top of my head, so I could always change it if I needed to. But we'll do this again. I'll choose an oil and then we'll walk through it together. And then, but between now and then, you've got peppermint, right? You can do. And if you have this book, there's something specific that you're wanting to go through, you can use that book. If you don't have that book, I highly recommend it. I think that's my fourth one. I can't imagine. They're all over the place and on my phone. But I love putting it and scripture together. So both work very well together. And, sometimes if it's like, it's a cosmic game and you're like, I don't really connect with that one, but I connect with, what did I have for the scripture? Oh, rejoice in the Lord always. Oh, I connect with that one because I see that one in the shower, right? So whatever works for you. Know that you can make any of these your own, right? You can put the peppermint wherever.
This
The
book has
pathway,
the scriptures in it.
A recording of this.
who wrote that?
Jen McGraw.
Oh, yes. I don't have it, but I know Jen.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
know
this
she'd
book
been
is
working on that, but I never got
like
one.
the answer to the book we wanted that has the scriptures already in it.
Right. So I'm curious. So does it have those emotions we just talked about?
Yes. The way you look them up is a little bit different, but it's alphabetical. It's very easy to use, just like the blue book.
Right.
Oh,
So what did she use for, let's just use rigidity.
Okay.
Find it.
Yes, here it is. Rigid, the opposite is flexible. It tells you all the ailments that can happen because you're not flexible and you're rigid. And then it tells you the chakras to apply it on. Lavender and peppermint are the two oils.
Mhm.
And the hips is the application point, ASIS. And then Proverbs 2 through 5. And then I open my heart, wisdom, and understanding would be the affirmation.
Cool. Yeah. Again, another book, another something that you can, and that's why I'm always working from one thing that I know, right? This is something I'm very comfortable with utilizing because I've
Got
had
3 of
such good
those
results.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've had results, right? I mean, this is where I'm not gonna, I don't know if it's safe is the word, but just that I know this is a go-to place, but I also like to bring in my own stuff. So I will use an oil and then a breath prayer to help support. Tammy's showing us another book that now I'm going to need to add to my list, right? Jen, I had a very fun conversation with Jen sitting at a Young Living convention, listening to Gary Young talk about emotions many, many years ago. So we were listening and we were talking at the same time, which you shouldn't do, but we were having a very great conversation about scripture. So it's funny that you bring that up. So she had been Karen Hopkins' assistant, I guess would be the best word to put it, for several years way back when. So, all right, ladies. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. We are going to be meeting again for those that are in the MOP program on Thursday to go over heavy metals, which was one of the last things we talked about. Go ahead, Tammy.
Was Donna wanting this book or
Yeah, The Pathway to Emotional Healing. Okay.
by Jen McGraw?
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right. And then Friday, for anybody that wants to do the nest scan, we're going to go, the Energy for Life scan, we're going to go over that on Friday. So 2 more opportunities this week to meet up here in the Zoom room. If anybody has any questions, let me know. I'm here for you.
What's Friday again?
Oh, excuse me. Coaching session to go over the Energy for Life scan.
Oh, okay.
So do your scan and then bring it. And then Leslie, yes, I did record this. It's recording right now. I'm going to stop recording now.